control over your own health, bridging the divide between Western medicine and shamanic practices of energy healing. Order today and get a free bundle of gifts from Dr. Sharon Martin and several of her partners. For more information, visit drsharonmartin.com.
Welcome to Spark Faith with me, Dr. Chris Sargent. This show is about renewed health, rooted in truth, and restored by grace. What does finding health look like for you? Do you have a vision for your future self and a way to get there? I'm Dr. Chris, and after 33 years in functional medicine and a lifelong journey through brain health, weight loss, hormones, mindset, and faith, I know that real transformation doesn't come from willpower or white-knuckling your way to wellness. It comes from gratitude, honoring your body as the temple that God created. This show is about body stewardship, not shame. It's about rewiring your mindset, your metabolism, and your spirit to find lasting health without the grind. I'll help you cut through the noise, see opportunities instead of obstacles, and finally live the healthy, purposeful life you were created for. Let's spark faith and transformation together. Spark Faith starts now. Whew. Okay, y'all. I just ran to get my water bottle in the middle of my opener. Anyway, hey, welcome back to the Spark Faith podcast and show. My name is Dr. Chris Sargent, and today we are going to wrap up the last series that we've been talking about how food is information. And we're going to take this whole thing a little bit deeper today because I dove into the research, which y'all know I'm a little bit of a geek, and I am going to definitely appeal to your inner physiology geek a little bit today. Definitely, like always, I'll do my best to explain it. And so that is what we are going to talk a little bit about today. And the title is, What Has Your Body Been Trying to Tell You? Right? How often have we said this to our kids, to ourselves? I've been trying to tell you, right? Well, your body's been trying to tell you some things, whether it's about food or whatever. And that is that, we've just come off of 4 episodes talking about how food influences is our foundation. It can really gear up regulation or down regulate regulation. It can create energy. It can take away from energy if we're not eating the right types of food or not enough. And then like playing into the whole strength piece, and not just strength, like strong, like muscles, but like our whole body resilience, right? To prevent our immune systems from going wacky, or to allow our immune systems to work properly. So today, we're just going to talk a little bit deeper and pull all that information together, like into this really cool episode. And here's the thing, right? Your brain, this is crazy, okay? Y'all, in the background, there is so much going on. It's kind of like how I see the computer, right? Like there is so much going on behind the computer screen. You just need it to work the way you want it to work. And sometimes it malfunctions, right? But your brain right now is listening to your entire body. I know every time I think about it, like if you just expand your brain just for a half a second and go, what? Like it knows exactly where your little toe is in space, right? Like it knows not only that, but it knows how much blood sugar is in your little toe, right? Like it knows all the things. So it's crazy how much our brain does in the background. And this is not just a metaphor, this is literal. So right now, let's just think about it, right? You're listening to me and your body is tracking blood sugar, right? It's tracking heart rate. It's breathing for you. It's blinking your eyes. It's creating inflammation or anti-inflammatory signals. It is, for me right now, I might have a little stress hormone going on because I'm excited and I'm doing my show. So there's a little stress in all that, even when it's happy. It's creating muscle tension, right? It is assessing the availability of energy and creating energy where you need it, right? I need it in my hands because I talk a lot with my hands. And then there are obviously, you know, that there are lots of signals coming from your gut and the vagus nerve. We talked about that way back when I first started this show. So here's the crazy part. Most of this is happening, you know, like without your conscious awareness. I mean, you can tune into your breathing, you can tune into your heart rate, and you can consciously slow those things. But, you know, while you're at work or you're picking up the kids or you're, you know, having a conversation with your best buddy or whatever, you're not thinking about any of that, right? So there's actually a scientific term for this, and there's so much new research. I mean, new as in 2021. Like in the past 5 or 6 years, this has just come onto the scene like crazy. We're really, really interested in how the body communicates, and that is called interoception, right? We think about perception, we think about our senses, right? Those are exteroreceptors. Those, like your eyes and your ears, those things sense things, taste, right? This is stuff from the outside, but interoception is stuff that's coming from the inside. So, and what's really fascinating, like I'm talking too fast, right? What's really fascinating is that interoception doesn't just influence physiology, it shapes emotion, right? It shapes your emotions because the brain is constantly interpreting your body signals. And now we're learning how emotion plays into that and how it can also, emotion can play back into physiology. Like this is a two-way street that we used to think was just a one-way street to the brain. But now we know that it goes both directions, right? We sense things inside our body, senses things, and then it sends out other signals. And this is that we're beginning to understand there's an emotional connection in all of that, which I think is really cool. So that means that your brain is asking stuff like, are we safe? Sure. Do we have enough fuel? Okay, these are obvious, right? Can we keep going? Right? Should we conserve energy? Is this environment stressful? How what is that emotion that the body is experiencing, and how is that going to affect the physiology, right? If you were scared, if you have fear, that affects your physiology in the long run, right? If you have happiness and joy, that affects your physiology. So interestingly, and I may have said this before, but like when we cry sad tears, they're different in their makeup than happy tears. Like literally have different chemical makeup. So we know that there's a connection between all the parts. And, you know, based on that, your physiology is going to change, right? Based on the answers and the information coming in, the physiology is going to change. So that means like, let's get down and dirty here, right? And we've talked a little bit about this, but like cravings are not random necessarily. Fatigue is not random, right? It's not like, oh, well, I don't know what's happening here, but your body knows something's going on, right? Stress responses are very pre-programmed. And emotions are not always random either. They're just part of a communication system between the brain and the body. And I think that sometimes we discount our emotions, or we try to ignore them. We do a lot of things to push them down or away, like we don't want to feel that stuff. And in doing so, we create a whole new set of physiology inside when we do that. So here's what I think happens to a lot of y'all, and it's probably happened to me too. We have become really skilled, right? This is what I was alluding to, at overriding those signals, right? Oh, I'm not that hungry. Oh, I'm not that tired. Just give me some coffee. I'm good. I'm overwhelmed. Oh, just put it aside and keep going. But when we put things aside, our body doesn't put them aside, right? It finds some place for them to go that can create really dysfunctional physiology for us. When we're stressed and we ignore it, we don't recover, right? instead, a lot of us just push through and keep trying and keep going and we ignore. But eventually the body is going to adapt to that environment that we repeatedly give it. And I know I've said this before, but that doesn't mean necessarily that your body is failing you, right? It's just responding to the life that it thinks you're living. And it's not even the life that it thinks you're living, it's the life that you are living. Right? That push down of emotion, that not feeling things all the way through, not having the conversations that we need to have, not eating the food when we need to eat it, not eating enough protein, not really putting in nutrients in our body. Like, it's not responding to the life that you think you're living. It's responding to the life that you actually are living. And I know that's like a totally in your face, right? And this comes with so much grace. And this is not about, oh, I'm doing everything wrong. No, 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 no. You know that there is no shame, there is no guilt here. This is just, I want you to understand that this may be happening to you. And you may or may not even know, right? So let's talk about the brain and the fact that it is constantly predicting and interpreting the body. So one of the coolest discoveries in neuroscience is that the brain isn't just reacting. It can actually start predicting, it can interpret, it can prepare and adjust on the fly, right? This is all in real time. And so there's a couple things you need to understand. One is big words, right? We're going to make this simple though. Predictive processing, right? So your brain is able to predict future needs based on past experiences. That doesn't sound too crazy, right? We do that all the time, right? We can create fear, we can create excitement based on past experiences, right? So your brain can too, and it can know that about your physiology. It also can predict future needs based on current patterns, like, oh, we know she doesn't eat breakfast, so we're going to raise her cortisol every single morning so that we can get the blood sugar going as she gets up, and we can create the physiology that our brain needs to keep moving forward, right? Your brain also predicts future needs based on your environment, right? Your body is always asking, what kind of environment am I living in? Do we have enough fuel? Are we safe? Do we conserve energy, right? So that is predictive processing. Allostasis, a crazy word, right? Allostasis means the body maintains stability through adaptation, right? So it's going to continue to adapt in order to remain stable until it can't, right? This is not static balance. This is not the scales that are like this and sitting. This is like, oh, something goes up, something goes down. Something like this is in real time moving forward, which means your body changes physiology based on anticipated demand. Whew, that's already a lot, right? But this explains why chronic stress changes your metabolism, why poor sleep changes cravings, why undereating changes your hormones, why multitasking changes fatigue, and inconsistency changes regulation. Your body is trying to prepare for the environment it's expecting later or tomorrow. So, and I said this a few episodes, your metabolism listens to patterns, not promises, because patterns become prediction. So when your body sees inconsistent fuel, poor sleep, chronic stress, all those things that we just talked about, it is going to adapt accordingly, not because it hates you, but because it's trying to protect you. Okay? So let's go a little bit deeper into interoception. And if we don't get done with this one, I'm going to tell you that right now I am going to do my next fresh sections about this stuff. So if this feels a little high level, we're going to dive a little bit deeper over the next 4 or 5 episodes. So tune in if you want to know more. So let's talk about interoception, right? This is that sensing and interpretation of internal body signals, right? This is how your brain is reading your body. Like we read the environment. Right now, I can look out my window, I can see rain clouds in the sky, I can see a little bit of sun, I can see the trees, I can hear that my dog is not barking in the background, right? I can taste the mint on my mouth. I have water right here, right? I have all those senses are happening, but inside my body, I am feeling maybe hunger, or maybe I'm full. I'm actually kind of full. And I'm not tired, but it will sense fatigue. It will sense cravings and tension, anxiety, rapid heartbeats, energy shifts, gut sensations, and your body is going to constantly communicate through these sensations. Right? Here's the important distinction. This is not do whatever the body wants, right? That's not wisdom, right? This is stewardship requires discernment, and our brain has that already pre-programmed, right? It just wants to steward the body based on the patterns that we're giving it. So lots of us have sort of become disconnected from our body's communication systems and constantly override those signals, right? That whole thing, like we're exhausted, but we just keep pushing. We're hungry, but we don't fuel. All those pieces. We're stressed, but we just keep going. And so eventually your body will get loud enough that you will have no choice but to listen, right? Food is information, muscle is information, rhythm is information, stress is information, and your body is going to interpret it all. And cravings are often communication before they become behavior. Fatigue is communication. Brain fog is communication. Poor recovery is communication. Your body speaks the language of physiology, right? So here's what's super important for all of us that are a little bit over 40. Yeah. Okay. So the allostatic load, right? This is the cumulative wear and tear on our body that we don't want to think about necessarily, or that we identify with way too much and just blame everything on our age. But stress is not only emotional stress, right? All of those things that we've been doing, the undereating, blood sugar swings, all those things, overtraining, all that stuff, really, I've connected them in our last episodes. This is really where our body responds to that unpredictability as stress, right? This is not punishment. It's not failure. It's just adapting. And we may not like that because we know that as estrogen declines, that sensitivity, right, increases to the stress, right? Our stress sensitivity increases, our recovery capacity goes down, muscle loss accelerates, and insulin sensitivity goes down. So we have to be able to shift and adapt our habits to all of those pieces, right? And this is why you feel like, well, nothing is working anymore, because the same patterns that felt manageable at 30 no longer are manageable at 40, 50, 60, right? For some of us. So that's just because your body has shifted into this protection mode because of the allostatic load that it's had over the years, right? Your body remembers everything. There's a whole book about that. So here's some physiology of emotions too. Modern neuroscience increasingly shows that emotions are deeply embodied physiological experiences, meaning anxiety is not just mental, right? Overwhelm is not just emotional. That involves cortisol, glucose utilization, our autonomic or automatic nervous system activation, right? Sympathetic, that fight or flight, the rest and repair. It changes your neurotransmitters. It changes your heart rate. It changes your muscle tension, right? And it starts to signal inflammation. And your body and brain are in this constant conversation, right? And This matters because so many of you, and I've been here too, y'all know I'm pretty upfront about all this, right? But unknowingly, we have learned to live in chronic activation, chronic vigilance, and chronic pressure. And our body has adapted to that environment. And that's why this whole shame based motivation thing backfires physiologically, because shame is just another threat. And threat changes our physiology. So, this is why this hustle culture eventually breaks people down, because the body wasn't designed to thrive under constant pressure. So, your body is not simply carrying emotions, they don't just flow through, right? It's participating in them. It's crazy, I know. So let's drop down just a little bit and talk about how stewardship is about learning the design and then honoring that design, because we have to cultivate it and keep it, right? We have to cultivate our body. We have to tend to it. Just like I've talked about the garden a lot because I love to garden and I'm getting ready to start a big one. So we have to pay attention and we have to work within the design. We can't force things, we can't dominate things, and we can't continue to override physiology because eventually it's going to fall apart. And as we've been fighting our body and silencing our emotions and not trusting what's happening and punishing our body, let's try understanding it. I know this is a little different, but if you'll hear me, I'm not talking about worshiping the body, right? I'm not talking about following every impulse, because stewardship still requires wisdom, but you can't steward what you refuse to understand and have all of these excuses about. And again, I'm not here to give you any guilt or shame. That's the last thing I want. I want you to hear what I'm saying here is stewardship is really starting to say, how do I control my body? Right? It's saying, what has my body been trying to tell me so that I can control it differently? And that differently is the big word of the day, right? We have to do things differently. We cannot continue to do the same thing. It's just not going to work for us. We've had too much accumulated load, right? Too much allostatic pressure. So here's the thing I want you to take away. Your body is not randomly malfunctioning, right? It's sensing, adapting, predicting, communicating. And of the many symptoms you've hated, maybe it's just information and not betrayal. And again, this is why Living Fresh exists, because I'm not here to teach you extremes or obsessions or any of that stuff, but I want you to understand the design that God made and the signals that your body's telling you and the rhythms that you've adapted, and shift some of those rhythms to create this stewardship that allows your body to do and function, functional medicine, function the way that it was designed, right? And so when we stop fighting the design and start understanding the design, everything changes. Your body is constantly communicating through physiology. And stewardship begins when we learn how to interpret those signals wisely. So, y'all, I have put a lot out there today. And I know that this is a really different way to look at things. And it's something that you all know that this is part of my story right now, is I have had to learn over the last few months since I crashed in December, like, and this is almost June, right? I have been stewarding and learning about how to regulate everything in my life, from water to food to sleep to exercise, and have shifted literally every habit, almost every habit that I've had in the past, because they weren't working. And when we can really like pull back and say, you know what? Yep, let's get honest. I've been doing the same thing that I did when I was 20 and it's not working, or when I was 30 and it's not working. And just sit in that space for a minute. I know can be so disheartening, but your body again isn't betraying you, right? It's listening to the signals and predicting responses that unfortunately, like our diet culture has spoken to us. Our comparison culture has spoken to us, and we're to live differently than that, particularly as Christians, right? We're to be set apart and live differently. And that means the way that we live our lives needs to look different. It needs to be different. We can't do what everybody else does and expect to have the results that we want and to have the energy that we want, right? I turned 62 recently, and my kids are 21 and 23. I want to see my great grandkids get married, and I want to walk with them, and I want to be out in nature and get down on the floor and play patty cake with them. I want to be able to do those things, and I hope you do too, whatever that might look like, whatever your dreams are. Maybe it's to hike the Grand Canyon when you're 85. I don't know what those are for you, but hustle culture eventually breaks us down, and that is not what we're here for, right, y'all? We're here to renew health, rooted in truth and restored by grace, lots of grace. So, y'all, if you like the episode, hit like, hit subscribe, reach out to me on all the socials. I love you guys, and I'll see you next week.
You've been listening to Spark Faith with me, Dr. Chris Sargent. This show is about renewed health, rooted in truth, and restored by grace. Tune in every Thursday morning at 9:30 a.m. Pacific on the Transformation Talk Radio for more simple, faith-fueled steps to live the vision God placed in your heart. Are you ready to take the next step? Schedule a discovery call or connect with me at drchrissargent.com. That's DRKRIS Sargent.com. While you're there, download my free ebook, Endless Energy, the 6 non-negotiable keys to endless energy, and sign up for an upcoming masterclass. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share the show, and I'd love to connect with you on social media at Dr. Chris Sargent. Let's keep sparking faith and transformation together. Can't wait to see y'all next time.